What is up, you guys? Orlando here with Elisha Record Studio, another tutorial for you guys today, and we're gonna be talking about my mastering template. So let's do it. And remember, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. You know the drill. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any other videos from us. And let's jump to the tutorial right away. And today I just wanted to show you my mastering template, and it's a pretty basic one. I just wanted to create something, a framework for you guys to work easier. In this case, I'm using Cubase, but I also have this template for Logic as of right now. I'm working on getting it available for other DAWs, so wait for that. I'm gonna be announcing that as it comes up. So right now I have it for Cubase and Logic. You're gonna be able to download that at the end of this video, so stay for that. I don't want you to miss that. But right now I just wanted to explain you what I did here, what are the tracks I have set up, and how I work with this template. So the first thing I have here is a couple stereo tracks. This is just regular audio tracks that I set up. This one, the first one, it's gonna be a reference track, as you can see here. This is for you to go ahead and drop your reference song, preferably a song that is already mastered, that it sounds really good, that sounds similar to your mix. It's kind of in the same ballpark in genre and sound as well. In this case, I'm not gonna use a reference track because probably YouTube is gonna say something about copyright or something like that. You're gonna drop the file there, and that it's routed directly to my stereo out. The next track I have here is a stereo track for your mix. In this case, I have a mix here, and I'm gonna try to include that also in the mastering template that you're gonna get at the end, for you guys to practice as well. This is just a mix I made here in the studio, and we're trying to master that. As of right now, I'm gonna disable all the effects that I have set up because I'm gonna first explain what is the mindset and the setup I have first, and then we are gonna jump right away to effects. You're gonna drop your mix here, and then after that I have a couple group tracks, and that's what it's called in Cubase, group tracks. So you're gonna route your mix, in this case, to this group track, and I name this one plugins, or you can name it processing if you want. So here you're gonna actually process your mix, not in the track itself, but on this group track. And then that's gonna be routed to a submaster, and that is gonna be routed to the stereo out. We have the reference track that's gonna be directly going out to stereo out. We have the mix that's gonna be routed to plugins, where you're gonna process your mix, and then you're going to be routing that to a submaster, and from that you're going to be heading out to stereo out for a final print of the master in this case. So really quick, this plugin right here that I wanted to show you, it's a VUMT by Klangheim or Klanghelm. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but you get the idea. This plugin is the only thing I have set up on my mix track, and this is a meter. So originally is a view meter, and the fun thing about and the cool thing about this plugin is that actually lets you set up a bunch of type of metering. Lets you set up a bunch of cool metering formats. Basically, you have a view meter, you have all these types of meters that are pretty you have a regular view meter, and you have a bunch of other options here within the plugin. So we're gonna use for this tutorial RMS. There's actually a metering preset here that it's called standard RMS meter. And again, this plugin is not doing anything at all to the song. This is just to measure loudness of our song and volume in general. So we have that set up in the mix. And what I want you to look at is that on this plugin, I want the mix to be around -20 and -16 RMS. That's as a general rule. So as you can see here, my mix originally was like that. So if I play that back,
let's go, I'm saying it's tired of waiting. We can leave this whole place behind.
that mix is actually at master level already. Sometimes I mix like that, and I don't have to do that much in mastering, because that's the goal for mixing, just to make the mix sound as good as it was mastered in the first place. So what I do in this step is that if the mix is too hot, what I do is just lower the volume. In this case, I had like a -7 dB reduction there on the same clip. So this is very important. You're not gonna go ahead and move the fader here on the mix. You're gonna move actually the volume in the same clip of the song. With that, let's take a listen to this right now.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love it if you wanna go, I'm down. Tired of waiting, we can leave this whole place.
Okay, that's kind of in the ballpark right there. So you're gonna set up that. The next step right now, you're gonna do a copy of the same plugin and you're gonna paste it on the submaster. So you're gonna have a second VU meter in this case that is gonna measure your output, your final output for the song. So ideally, we wanna see this between -12 and -8 in that ballpark right there. Not more than -8, because you get then after that you get a bunch of distortion and it's not good for streaming services. Generally, you can get away with more depending on the genre, of course, but it's not recommended. So be careful with that. But -12 and -8 around that ballpark, it's good, depending on the song, of course. This all depends on whatever genre you're working on, whatever the song actually needs. So you need to be careful with that, need to play with that, and that's around the ballpark there. So we're gonna do our second step right now, which is grabbing a limiter. In this case, I have the L2 limiter right here. And we're gonna measure the volume in a second, but what I like to do is just go ahead and set up the ceiling for -1. I don't do the -0.1 because there's this thing called intersample peaks that streaming services hate, and when you upload that to streaming services, it automatically, those normalization things going behind the scene with the streaming services are gonna notice that your audio is louder than it is actually, and it's gonna turn it down. So I, as a general rule, I set this up for -1, just trying to avoid those intersample peaks. And I just go ahead with the threshold and set it up for volume that it's around -12 and -8, around that area there. Almost always I end up in -10, but don't worry about the numbers. It's just about what the song actually needs. There's another step I like to do personally. You don't have to do that. You can do it with just one limiter, but I like to set up 2 limiters actually, one after the other, because I don't want to push one single limiter by itself too hard or too hot. So in this case, I'm gonna just give it -5 here, the threshold with the L2, and I'm gonna use the Slate Digital right here. I have the Slate Digital, and then I have the L2, and I have already something set up here, and let's gonna take a listen with those two right now.
We're made for bigger things. And this place keeps killing our dreams.
Okay, so now that we have the volume already, I'm using the Infinity EQ by Slate Digital, and I'm gonna tell you what I did with this. I always start from the low end and move up. So that said, the first thing that you can notice here is that I have a cut here, and this is around 20 hertz. Every information below 20 hertz, I want to just get rid of that because that it's not useful at all. And 20 is pretty safe because nowadays with a lot of sub bass in pop music, especially hip hop and all that, below 20, there's nothing really important. 24 dBs per octave, a cut there, below 20 hertz. The next move I almost always find myself doing it's a boost around 50. You need to find where your kick it's actually hidden, and as you can see here, let's play this really quick.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love it if you wanna go, I'm down.
As you can see here, those are my bass notes here, the sustained notes, but the kick, it's hidden right here, so around 50 hertz. That's where the kick is actually hidden, so that's the frequency I want to boost a little bit. The drums actually sound bigger. In this case, the kick, I want that up front, I want that hidden in the chest, and that's a boost I do there. And again, in mastering subtle moves, I'm kind of doing 1 dB. Normally don't do more than that, and use your ears always. You can get away and not use it depending on the sound that you're working on. If you don't need it, you don't need it, but I generally find myself doing this, and this works across genre. So boost there around 50, I find the kick, the frequency, and boost that. Then the next move is around 200. So this area I like to boost because of the body of the vocals and the body of the song as well. Sometimes there are many songs that lacks that information in 200, so I boost a little bit, and that creates separation in the lower end right there because of this curve as well. So you play with how the cue is gonna be. Be careful with that. Just play with your ears as well. See what works and what doesn't. If it's too much, if it's too muddy or something like that, just do an arrow cue, play with that. You need to hear what you're doing. Moving on, we have another boost here in around 2.7, sometimes 3, in that area, 3K, 2 point something, and that's that area is actually something that I touch a little bit. You need to be extra careful. I don't go oftentimes I don't go more than 0.5 dB there. It's just a boost because that's also brightness from the vocals, definition from the snare. There's a lot of information there that you want to boost as well, depending on the song as well. The last move I do is this boost. So let me explain, because this EQ has a really cool thing that you can set up this as a side or mid band, and what you're seeing here right now is what normally should look like this. So in any EQ plugin you would do a boost like that. Okay, so in mastering I want to do this boost if I need to, if the mix is sounding a little bit dull and I want more sparkly sound to it, just add a little bit something in the higher end, I would do a boost there. But I would normally use it only on the sides. So we'll go to the side bands, make that as a sideband, because that's gonna boost the information on the sides. The middle is gonna be unaffected by that, and that way you get a bigger stereo image as well. So I just switch it for a side, and maybe I go ahead and do this, and I cut a little bit of that high-end frequency from the middle, and that creates separation as well. Those are my moves with the EQ. There's plenty of other things. So the one I ended up actually doing for this song looks something like this. Okay, so there's a bunch of other moves I did here, pretty drastic ones, because I needed for this mix. Actually, I'm gonna play for you what this actually sounds like, and before that I'm gonna jump right to the next step, which is compression in mastering. I just do it for color. I'm looking for a color that sounds good, something that gives me something in the harmonics for the mix I'm working. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, depends. Okay, always listen and always hear what you're doing, and make your decisions by listening to what the material you're working on is, not just because I say it here in the tutorial. Okay, so you don't want the needle to move at all on this compression. You don't want to create that massive compression here. So what I do is I do a high pass on this, so below 100 it's not going to listen to those frequencies, and that's good, because those frequencies actually move the needle a little bit more. The lower end frequencies move the needle more than the higher end frequencies. You're gonna listen right now before and after with the EQ and the compression, what it sounds like. Take a listen to that.
Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town? I'm saying, love her if you wanna go on down. 'Cause darling, we were made for bigger things, and this place keeps killing our dreams. Let's go. I'm saying it's tired of waiting. We can leave this whole place behind, yeah. Let's go, love. I'm saying it's tired of waiting. We can leave this whole place behind. Tell me, babe, you wanna leave this town?
There's a massive difference there with only an EQ and a compressor. Again, that compressor is not moving at all. Look at this.
I'm saying, love her if you wanna go on down. 'Cause darling, we were made for bigger things, and this place keeps killing our dreams.
It just sounds good, sounds really good. That's what I want to accomplish with a compressor. And again, guys, that's pretty much it. 2 VU meters, as you can see here, one on the mix and one in the submaster, measuring the volume, an EQ and a compressor, and that's it. You're gonna be able to get this mastering template and this framework actually for you to use in your own DAWs. You're gonna be able to download those, and I hope it's useful. Let me know in the comments below if you have more questions. And guys, thank you so much for watching the tutorial today. Truly appreciate it. Go ahead and download this mastering template right now. I'm gonna leave the link here in the video description below, and you're gonna be able to access this template, and I hope you enjoy it. And until next video, guys, don't stress, do your best, be blessed, forget the rest. See you in the next tutorial.